we've got laws that seem to breach natural justice because there's a lot of power in the Department of Natural Resources, and when you get a contravention notice or that phone call, you're guilty. There's no court of law. There's no question that you're guilty, and you're guilty by the same people that want to enforce the law on you. And so there's no separation of powers. It seems to me that
No,
these laws.
it's an interesting point you raised there, Ruth. I mean, generally speaking, issues relating to land and vegetation is part of the land are normally dealt with in the land court. So what I'm saying there, if there's ever a dispute between parties in relation to land, it is normally dealt with in the land court. However, our governments have quite cleverly written into the legislation that matters relating to vegetation to be dealt with through the magistrates and district court system. So therefore, all the protections that one would have in the land court through the legislated, those fundamental provisions of property law, they cease to exist once you get into that different jurisdiction.
That's incredible. That's incredible. It seems like these people, whoever these elites are, that want to tell us all what to do and how to live their lives. I mean, some of these people don't even know which toilet to use. You know, they're too stupid to tell me what to do and what to eat. Ah. Tell you
well,
what.
This is the thing. I mean, if you end up with a situation where bureaucrats have total control of our food chain, and that's certainly where we're heading, it's a recipe for disaster, Ruth.
Oh, it certainly is, and you know, these laws, of course, the government's stealing from you and not compensating you, so they're devaluing your property and putting farmers, you're only one story of many out there, aren't you? So if there's any farmers watching this that want to message me and would like to share their story so that we can get the message out there. I mean, it's all well and good, and thank you to Alan Jones for interviewing you, but he's always up against the clock. And I'd like these stories to have further airing because I am really concerned. But these devalue your property. They seem to reduce your productivity too, because they make it difficult, if not impossible, to obey the law. And that's totally runs
Absolutely.
counter to, yeah, yeah. And they destroy,
That's
and
right.
in fact,
That's the way they do it, Ruth. I mean, essentially, they're out there now saying that we can still harvest our mulga, we can still feed our cattle. But what they fail to do is inform the public of all the devil that's in the detail. And as you've just so rightly said, they have totally reduced our sustainability to the point where we are going to struggle to survive this, particularly in drought periods. We're being pushed to the point where we won't survive this. You know, this area will not be sustainable to farm in. And unfortunately, that has an enormous impact on not only each individual farm, but the whole communities of Western Queensland.
that's right. That's right. Because if the farmers suffer, that the town of Charleville will suffer, and every other regional town in that area and in other areas. So it beggars belief that these laws can be passed in a so-called democratic country and a democratic state that's supposed to value classic Western civilizational values, such as property rights, such as personal freedom, such as the separation of powers. This so I've read Professor Suri Ratnapala's work on this, and you know, if you his article is called "Constitutional Vandalism Under Green Cover," and it makes for very sobering reading. It really does. And I did meet Professor Ratnapala. He's since retired, but I met him at an IPA function, I think, and I thanked him very much for writing that article because it really opened my eyes to this it's almost like a scam or a scheme. They're wanting to burden farmers with the entire cost of our so-called Kyoto obligations, which is it's just at odds with anyone's sense of a fair go. I mean, we can always have the
Yeah.
argument as to whether we should be reducing carbon dioxide.